Welcome back to Vancouver Carpenter, the most drywallery carpenter on the internet. Today I'm going to teach you guys how to coat an intersecting joint. A lot of the time what people do, they'll be like, this is how to coat a butt joint. This is how to coat a flat joint. And that's great if you have the time to wait for them to each dry individually. But generally on a small job like this, like just one room, I don't have the time to do them individually and wait for them to dry. So I do them one wall at a time. And I think it's never a bad idea to refresh your guys' minds and show you how to do this again. Okay, so I'm gonna get my bench ready because I'm gonna need it pretty soon. If this is a hard thing to memorize, it's like you just kind of, the more of them you do, you start to realize. But I usually like to start by coating the flat. So I'll get a nice spread there, you know, wider than what the joint's gonna be. And we're gonna keep this pretty simple. We're only gonna go one trowel width on each one. Whether you're using a trowel or knife, doesn't matter. Start up at the top, go down. And you know, you can always grab a little more. You don't have to go back to the hocks because it's way thicker up here than it was down here. So when I grab that, I'm kind of bringing it back down. I have more pressure at the top, and then I let go of the pressure a little bit, and that helps bring some of the mud down. Getting into the nuances here. This has nothing to do with the intersecting joint. I'm just kind of explaining what I'm doing. So I actually need just a little more mud, but maybe we can get some from here. Feather your edge. So that's just pressing down on the blade, bending it. Feather that like button if you're getting something out of this. Now I'm gonna feather this edge. And you can see I do it in a swooping motion. So I'm kind of bringing it all down there. Now, we got a little more material to finish this off. Okay. So now I'm going to feather this edge. So as you can see, I started by feathering all the edges. So the next thing that I'm going to do is when you're doing a butt joint, so typical butt joint, feather the edge, and then I usually do one pass like this, not pushing very hard. That kind of pushes the mud into the center of the joint. One more pass just to smooth out the porosity on the other side. So now, it's probably hard to see, but we now have one lift off going down right here. Is that picking up on camera? I'm gonna move the light for you guys so you can really see these lift offs, because this is what we're trying to see. So those two passes push the mud into the center of the joint. Because what we want to do is we don't want a hump, right? We don't want it all centered there. What we're going to do, what I'm going to do, I don't know what you'll do, but what I'm going to do is one more pass down the center, and I'm going to lift off, boom, right in the middle of the flat. So you notice I did those feather, and then one to push the mud into the center a bit and smooth it out, one to push the mud into the center a bit and smooth it out. And then I did one to sort of flatten that broad surface of the butt joint, lift off in the middle of the flat. And it's pretty easy here. One pass, because we already have our edges feathered, even though that's not feathered too nice. If it ever looks like that and you want to clean up that feather, you can just... But that took more time than the sanding would have. Okay, it's time for that last pass. And it's a little heavy right there, but this is first coat. I can live with that. If we want to make it a bit prettier, I'll do one more pass. But honestly, like if I was rushing or I didn't have the light shining down this wall so much, I might not see that and it would be good enough for first coat. Let's give it one more. My pressure was down a little bit because we have a butt joint here, right? So we don't want to go flat or I'm going to scrape all the mud off here. So my pressure was downward. That's good enough. I'm gonna stop messing with it. Why not do one recap to really sear it into your brain? Or is there another one? No, I did all of them before I saved this last one for you guys. But again, I loaded the flat first. I then loaded the butt joint. The next thing I did, I feathered the bottom of the flat. I feathered the sides of the butt joint, blending it in. One more to push the mud towards the center, blending it in, push the mud towards the center, blending it in. Finish pass over the butt joint, lift off in the middle. Final pass, once over, because we've already got our feathered edges, once over with slight pressure this way, very slight. Boom. So you can see there's like very easy sanding here. You barely need to sand this before doing your finish coat. Plenty of mud on the joints, but not too much. In fact, we have almost not enough there. I don't know if it's picking up on camera. I can see the tape coming through. I'm gonna have to be really careful when I sand that because otherwise I'm gonna be going onto the tape. So I'll have to try and remember and just sand the lift offs. But I do have the Festool Plane X2, which has a big bright light when I'm sanding so I can actually see everything I'm doing and not destroy my work. Anyways, that is how to tie in joints. That is literally the step-by-step, every motion. If you want to tie this in, it's probably way more information. You're going to go and start working on your seating and be like, what the heck did he say? Come on. Okay. All right, you guys, I realized that I actually did you a disservice. Like I had finished doing an outro for the video and everything, but I realized that tying in a butt joint on a wall is actually not that hard. So while you do have to learn the swoops and all that stuff to get efficient, what you don't have to know how to do is how to tie in to two wet ends, right? So up here, we're gonna have that opportunity. I've got this flat coated in this butt joint. I've got that side coated. It's a little bit wet. So we're gonna have to coat this butt joint in between here and not damage it. So unfortunately, this is the skim coat, which is actually easier. So I wish I had thought of this video idea, but it was a spontaneous idea to do this wall. So I didn't have it in my head as I was coating this out, but definitely knowing how to coat butt joints between two wet flats is a bit more challenging. Okay, you guys, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky when you've got wet work here and there. Again, because it's my skim, it's not super wet, so it's not really hard. But yeah, I'm going right about to where that flat is there. Starting in and out there. And I'm just being careful not to like lift my trowel off into the drying out mud. So I kind of pull it off before it runs out of mud. I can just sort of feel that. Okay, so here is the secret to being able to get into this, because you're like, well, where do I start? How do I get that all floated out? So the secret is to do, like you kind of have to come in the middle, because anywhere you put your trowel in here, it's going to leave a line and you're going to have a problem there. So generally what I do is I'll start like, so that's how I'll feather my edge. Whoop. You can do the next one like that. Because when you do a moving start, then it doesn't have a specific line where it starts. And you just kind of lift off gently into there. Again, the skim coat is pretty forgiving. I can even start like kind of back here. And it's starting to look pretty good. But that's the general idea. Again, it's easier on the skim coat. Got something in the mud there. Oh. Why? Like if I try and pull right here, it might do something weird. Yep, nope, don't like it. That was a bad idea. You gotta get that moving start. And you know, you might be left with a lift off that's a little bit less than pleasing. It's no big deal. Just come back around. There you go. So I'm happy with that. I did a little damage right there. Probably really hard to see. But that was from starting my trowel right here. Like when I was messing around, seeing if I could. What are we gonna do about that? That's a pretty easy fix. As long as you have a knife that's not too sharp. So all my knives are like old and worn down. We're gonna get a slow moving start, really low angle. Let's give it one more. That's good enough. We can sand the rest of that out. But that is the general idea of how to coat something that is between two wet spots like that. You got to get a moving start from the middle. And as you can see in the end, it looks good, right? That's a nicely coated butt joint. Anyways, you guys, now we're officially done this video. I really just thought without like that piece of information, you know, I thought this video was only half done. Anyways, now we're done. Thanks for watching. Till the next one. Hope you're doing well. Hope your project's going well. All right, that's that one.